Okay, 7th grade, for your activator today. Again, you know the drill. We've got 3 texts here. Can you identify whether they're fiction, nonfiction, or poetry? 3 minutes on the timer. Begin. Okay, and that is time. Of course, if you haven't fully finished your activator, pause your video now. As you look at each of these texts, again, you should be able to tell the genre very quickly. And again, that's going to tell you what kind of annotations or what you should be looking for. Already, I can tell that this looks like a poem because you've got alternating lines. We've got some rhyming words, stood, could, would. I know that this is a poem. You should have written that there, and you should have explained. Number 2, Obama's 2004 speech. We've talked about how a speech is always going to be an example of nonfiction because it's a speaker presenting real, true information or presenting real facts. Thank You, Ma'am by Langston Hughes. That sounds like it's probably going to be a short story. Reading over the first lines, it sounds like a character. It sounds like there's a setting. So already I know that this is fiction. Again, as long as you have explained each of these, then that's an easy 100. We have just 2 more instructional days until your Big Ten ready next week. You guys are already prepared. The next 2 days, Edpuzzle lessons are just going to get you sort of those final details of preparation to make sure you feel really good going into Monday. Go ahead and flip to your next page. Before we dive into our lesson today, we're going to do a quick review on essay writing. It's been a while since we've done essay writing, but I just want to give you just some quick, what do you need to know before Monday? So there are 3 types of essays that you potentially will have to write on Monday. It's either going to be a narrative essay, an explanatory/informative essay, or an argumentative essay. Now, Your most important task when you get to the essay portion on Monday is reading that prompt and figuring out, is this a narrative, explanatory, or argumentative? You're always going to be writing in paragraphs. You're always going to have transitional words and phrases. You're always going to be citing and explaining evidence. But the type of essay you write is going to depend on this. Now, if the prompt is a narrative prompt, fill in the notes with me. You know that you need to write a story. You see narrative. That means story, 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 like you narrate, a narrator, story. Usually you're going to have to write from another character's point of view. Most of the prompts that I've seen for 7th grade are going to be asking you to rewrite the story from point of view. So when you're taking on that character's point of view, it's going to be first person. You should use words like I, or me, or my. So if the prompt is telling you to rewrite the story from another character's point of view, you would start off like a story, like, one day I was walking through the woods and I did this and I did this, depending on what the story was about. That's narrative. If you get an explanatory prompt, they're going to ask you to explain a topic or analyze a theme. Remember, theme is what the author is trying to teach us. So if you see a prompt that's saying, like, analyze and explain how the author develops the theme. So you need to have a paragraph analyzing or talking about what the theme of the story is. You need to talk about what happened in the story to develop that theme. Or they might just have you explain a topic. That's explanatory. Again, you're still citing evidence. You're still writing in multiple paragraphs. You're still explaining your evidence, but this is what it's going to look like. If you get an argumentative prompt, that's the third type. You're going to need to argue a position on a topic. Maybe, should schools use recycling or not? You're going to state your position. And then you're going to support it with evidence from the text. So, narrative, story, explanatory, explain or analyze in an essay, argumentative, make an argument, your opinion. What are you arguing? Now, let's look at these 3 possible prompts. One of them is explanatory, one of them is argumentative, and one of them is narrative. Take 1 minute to look over it and see if you can identify which one is which type, just based off of what we talked about above. Begin. Okay, so if I looked at this prompt, this is actually one we've had before. You get some background information. In the chapter of Midwife's Apprentice, Alice saves Will's life in the river, blah, blah, blah. Rewrite the story from the point of view of Will. I know that this is narrative because I'm going to have to rewrite this essay, or this story from the point of view of Will. So it should be like, hi, my name's Will. Remember to use dialogue, all that. All right, so this one was narrative. This one. Both authors describe the remarkable characteristics of fungi. Write an argumentative essay in which the author is more successful about which author. So you're arguing which author did a better job. Argumentative. So you have to take a stance. Author A did a better job because, or author B did a better job because. Finally, write an essay in which you explain how the author develops the theme of family in the story. They gave you what the theme is. All right, so we know that this is an explanatory. you're explaining what the theme of the story was, or you're explaining a topic. You should be able to determine just by reading the prompt what type of essay you're writing. Narrative, argumentative, or explanatory. That's your takeaway from today. All right, go ahead and take out your text for today. I'm excited to get into today's Edpuzzle lesson because it's actually a type of text that we have not seen before, that we haven't actually spent time reading, so I thought it'd be a good idea to sort of go over it and sort of see what it's like. The text that you're going to be seeing today is going to be a piece from a play. Many of you have either seen plays before, gone to like the Orpheum Theater maybe, or just seen a play in real life. You might get a text that is a play. Now technically a play is fiction, it's made up, but it kind of falls in its own category. So as you're reading, we're still going to be looking for characters, description of setting, any problems or lesson learned. But we're also going to be looking for this key one right here. You need to know what stage directions are. Stage directions are directions in a play that tell information about what the actors should do. Whenever you're reading a play, you're always going to have bits of lines that are going to sort of tell the actors or tell the director what should be happening or give background information. Stage directions will always be written in italics. That means they're slanted a little bit. The text is going to be slanted. So let's get started. I'm going to start some annotations for you. Try to annotate as you can. It's going to feel a little bit different. You don't need to label a character every single time, but if there's a problem, label it P. If you see, stage directions, I'm going to label them SD, like right here. I know these are stage directions, so I'm going to label them. All right. So this is from the play You Never Can Tell. Our first character is a dentist. Our second character is a young lady who's come to see the dentist. I don't like going to the dentist very much. I don't know about you. All right. Here's our first stage directions. In a dentist's operating room on a fine August morning in 1896, so we know we're way in the past, setting. Not the usual tiny London den is like a family room, but the best sitting room of a furnished lodging in a terrace on the seafront at a fashionable watering place. So there's the description of our setting. We're at a very fancy doctor's office. Very, very fancy. Like the nicest one you've ever been to. It's right on the ocean, all that. A very pretty young lady in miniature, that means like she's small, her tiny figure dressed with the daintiest gaiety and is of a later generation, being hardly 18 yet. Basically, she's wearing grown folks' clothes, and she's sort of coming across as like she's really grown, but she's not even 18. Description of character, label it. See, this darling little creature clearly does not belong to the room. The dentist, other character, contemplating her with the self-satisfaction of a successful operator, is a young man of 30. So we've got the dentist, he's about 30 years old. We've got this young sort of teenage girl who's dressed like she's older. And that's the start. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Young lady, handing him the glass. Remember, these are stage directions. This is not something the character is saying. Thank you, the dentist, putting it down on the ledge of his cabinet of instruments. That was my first tooth, young lady. Aghast. That means like she's surprised. Your first? Do you mean to say that you began practicing on me? There's a problem. I would not want to be the first patient for a dentist. Dentist. Every dentist has to begin on somebody. Yes, somebody in a hospital, not people who pay. Laughing. Oh, the hospital doesn't count. I only meant my first tooth in private practice. Why didn't you let me give you gas to help ease the pain? Young lady. Because you said it was going to be 5 shillings extra. Shillings are like dollars. Shocked. Oh, don't say that. It makes me feel as if I had hurt you for the sake of 5 shillings. With cool insolence. Insolence means like anger. Well, so you have. She gets up. Why shouldn't you? It's your business to hurt people. It amuses him to be treated in this fashion. He chuckles secretly as he proceeds to clean and replace his instruments. She shakes her dress into order, looks inquisitively, curiously, about her, and goes to the window. You have a good view of the sea from these rooms. Are they expensive? Yes. You don't own the whole house, do you? No. Flip. Taking the chair which stands at the writing table and looking critically at it as she spins around on one leg. Your furniture isn't quite the latest thing, is it? It's my landlord's. Does he own that nice, comfortable bath chair? Pointing to the operating chair. No, I have that on the hire purchase system. That means he's renting. He's renting all this nice furniture. Disparagingly, that means critically. She's criticizing him. I thought so. Looking about him again in search of further conclusions. I suppose you haven't been here long. 6 weeks. Is there anything else you would like to know? The hint quite lost on her. Any family? I am not married. Of course not. Anybody can see that. I meant sisters and mother and that sort of thing. Not on the premises. If you've been here 6 weeks, and mine was your first tooth, the practice can't be very large, can it? I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to ask you to finish reading to see what happens in the interaction between the dentist and the young lady here. I'm also going to ask you to come over and start answering your TDQs. So finish reading the scene, see what happens in the end of the scene, and if you haven't, start to answer your TDQs. I'm going to set 7 minutes on the timer for you to start working through that. Begin. Okay, if you have not finished your TDQs at this point, go ahead and pause your video. But you should have known the title, and you should have put that there. You should have also known that this was fiction. The characters were the dentist and the young lady. We were in a dentist's office in London. She's surprised to learn that this is his first tooth. She says that his business is hurting people. She asked the dentist 2 questions. You should have looked at those in each of those lines. 2 facts you learned about the dentist. You could have said that he doesn't have a family, and there was another detail in there between those lines. And finally, number 10, how much does the young lady pay? She paid 5 shillings. So make sure you flip the questions, and that's what we're looking for. The meat of today's lesson, of course, is getting into the 5 steps of question analysis that are going to be starting right here. So again, remember that the most important part of when you're analyzing is pulling out those key words, identifying if this question is multiple choice or multiple select, crossing out wrong answers, and then explaining why you picked the answer that you do. I literally want you to be crossing out your wrong answers. We're now getting into the independent practice, so take the next 10 minutes to start working on that and begin. Okay, if you are not finished with task 1 and 2, pause your video now. Say that one more time. Again, if you're not finished with task 1 and 2, pause your video now so you can finish. The last part of our lesson is you're going to be reflecting on how you did on the quiz. Again, I'm looking for you to have attempted it one time through first. So now we're going to move into an extended time for you to do task 3, complete the whole part, and then move into your exit ticket. So again, this whole last part is going to be reflection and extended exit ticket. Check over, see how you did. It's going to be 10 minutes on the timer, and begin. If you have not finished your exit ticket, finish up now. Check back over your whole packet.